If you've watched my previous review of the Chilli Tech cameras, you'll know that I prefer a frame rate of 60 frames per second and a 4K resolution. However, the big drawback of that combination is that the recording time is limited, so I had to carry a power bank to keep it running all day. So when Paul of Chilli Tech told me his new camera would operate for up to 7 hours, I was obviously interested. The downside was that although the camera would give me 7 hours at 1080p or 6.5 hours at an interpolated or enhanced 2K resolution, I was a bit concerned, and especially as this camera wouldn't have stabilisation built in. I'd previously fed back to Paul that I felt that longer battery life was an important thing, so clearly it was something I asked for and it was something he provided, so I had to take it seriously. So Paul sent the camera through, but when the package arrived there were actually 3 cameras, and the reason there are 3 cameras is because Paul kindly gave me 2 to give away to 2 lucky winners, and I'll tell you more about that later. So when the camera arrived, I was immediately impressed because it is a solid looking camera. It's made of aluminium. If you drop it, I doubt you do too much damage. And I really like the level of waterproofing on there. The SD card sits well inside the camera and is covered with a rubber bung. So the IP66 weatherproofing will be maintained. But I'll give you a bit more detail on the camera as we go through this review. Now, when I set the camera up, I set it up for the 2K resolution. For the sake of 6.5 hours as opposed to 7, I felt that I'd rather have the greater resolution. So all the Recordmax footage you're about to see was shot at that setting, and it hasn't been enhanced in any way. Now, as I've already mentioned, this camera doesn't have stabilisation, and that was a big feature of the previous model, but also a big consumer of battery power. So what we're looking for is a happy medium, I guess. While specs are important, it's practical use that really proves suitability for the task. And the task here is to clearly record an incident on the road, together with a clear view of the vehicle number plate, and not record high resolution action camera quality footage. It's my view that drivers who underperform in terms of road safety need to be educated. And as most drivers who the police consider underperformed will be offered further training, I feel that reporting these via Operation Snap is a public service that improves safety for us all. Of course, serial offenders will usually be prosecuted, which is also another good reason to report them. Recently, a cyclist told me she thought it was grassing, but I suggested she may feel differently if that unreported driver went on to kill one of her loved ones or friends. And I do think we all need to play our part in road safety. But to do this, a decent video image will be required. So the question is the Recordmax at under £100 really up to the task? The only way to evaluate it is to get out on the road and try it in varying conditions. Now, I can't show you all of the clips that I took, purely because some are still going through prosecution. But first of all, there's a driver here of a Porsche doing everything absolutely fine, and I'm just including this to show you that you can easily pick up oncoming vehicles' number plates. Now, this next one did result in the prosecution. The pass didn't affect us whatsoever. In fact, the driver went out of their way to pass us wide. In doing so, though, they caused the oncoming traffic to take evasive action, and unfortunately the first oncoming car was a learner. Now, this is the one that got away. In my opinion, this should have been prosecuted, but this driver, who was coming along this virtually single track road, would have seen me pull well over to the left, but he made no attempt at all to slow down. If I'd have had a wobble, a pothole or whatever, I could have been under his wheels. Many people think that a close pass only happens when the driver is passing you from behind, but of course it works both ways. And it surprised me that the usually excellent Leicestershire police decided that this didn't meet the threshold. However, they were going to write to the driver with some advice. And when you look at the driver, you can see he's not making any eye contact whatsoever, neither is his passenger. So it has all the hallmarks of a punishment pass. Now, I was trying to do the decent thing here and move over to the left, give him plenty of room. And had he slowed down, there would have been no problem at all. Now, of course, I had no way of knowing what he was going to do, but with hindsight, I would have been better actually taking the lane and forcing him to slow down. And of course, people complain about cyclists doing this, but this is a great example of why it's done. But the very next driver that came along did exactly as they should do. I'd pulled well to the left, they saw me, and they actually pulled over as well. So we passed very safely, we gave each other a friendly wave, everybody was happy. I'm sure there will be some people that will claim that an oncoming car doesn't count as a close pass. Here's a still of a car that passed us, probably doing 30 miles an hour on a very, very narrow road. And as you can see, there's hardly any room at all. Now, in this case, this young woman took the alternative of a paid-for driver course instead of prosecution. Now, the pass you're about to see, absolutely no problem with it at all, passed me nice and wide. The only reason I'm showing you is I was climbing a hill, so I was out of the saddle pedalling, and therefore I've got a bit of a wobble on. But I wanted you to see that even in those conditions, I've got a clear image of the number plate. Now, for the next shots, I went out of dusk. Being August, obviously that was coming quite late. You can see by the time stamp here that we're 9:15. What I'd ask you to note is that I am on the cycle path. So therefore the car that passed me is further away than it would normally be on a close pass, but as you can see, I clearly picked it up. And this is another one in low light, and it says I entered my village, and this is a 30-mile-an-hour limit, and I think you'll agree that this driver's going well over 30 miles an hour. But I couldn't pick up the number plate, and the reason was those two bright lights illuminating the number plate. And I wonder if this is some sort of method of trying to block the number plate from view from cameras and so on. Tell me what you think. And then here's another one. It was a few minutes before that, coming up to a junction. Nice pass from the driver, nice and steady. And as you can see, even though it's dusk and the number plate's illuminated, I still picked it up. Now I'll leave you with this last clip. This happened last Sunday. You'll see that the driver of the Porsche about to overtake us didn't give us enough room. Now the road is narrow, but drivers should mitigate the narrowness of the road by reducing speed. But clearly the driver was in a hurry, and you'll see in a moment why they were in a hurry. Yep, they were nearly home, totally impatient, so for the sake of sitting behind us for 30 seconds, created a potentially dangerous situation. As with everything these days, there's an app, and that allows you to download your video if required, and it also allows you to set up all the settings I've been discussing. But there's also a printed instruction manual, which I think is great these days, because mostly you have to go online, and that's not always possible when you're out on the road. You'll notice I don't use the built-in microphone, which is because I rarely get into an altercation. However, I know some of you recommend it, so it can be switched on via the app if required. The kit comes with 3 different types of mount, and there's even a mount for motorcycles, and they even include the tools you'll need. For me, I prefer the ratchet strap type that you can see here on the right. It's a very strong mount and it's highly adjustable, so it's going to fit any type of bar. I've now used this for hundreds of miles on some pretty rough tracks, and it hasn't moved a fraction. My handlebar is quite busy, so it was necessary for me to mount the Recordmax upside down on an accessory bar I used to mount my 360 camera. This isn't a problem because the associated app allows this to be corrected, as well as screen mirroring. I did have to adjust the screen mirroring out of the box, and if you don't do that, everything will be back to front. For those concerned about weight, the camera weighs just 118 grams, and the integral 1800 mAh battery charges in just 90 minutes using the supplied USB-C cable. Now, if you're on a longer ride than 6.5 or 7 hours, this is where Chilli Tech have really thought this through, because this supplied USB-C cable also doubles as a connector that you can use on the road to connect up a power bank. And this plug is designed in such a way that it's going to keep water out of the camera if you're riding in bad weather. The necessary SD card isn't supplied, but you can use anything from 36 gigabytes to 256 gigabytes. If you're commuting, a 36 gigabyte will be fine, but for longer days I'd suggest larger, as once the card is full it will record over earlier footage. I personally use a 128 gigabyte card, and that covers me for several long rides. While you can view the MP4 footage with a standard viewer, you will observe jumping like this. and this will make it difficult to get the number plate exactly where you need it for identification. The best thing to do is upload to a video editor. A basic free one will do fine, and this will allow you to move frame by frame and zoom in to identify the plate. But that's as far as you should go with an editor, as edited footage won't be accepted as evidence. If you want to know more about the Operation Snap process and don't mind being called a grass, I'll put a link at the end to a video I made about this. If you think the Recordmax camera could help you, I'll be picking 2 winners of the Recordmax cameras kindly donated by Paul at Chilli Tech. To enter, you need to comment telling me why reporting road traffic incidents is necessary. To that post, add the word postcode and the first 2 letters of your delivery address postcode. So for example, postcode and LE. I know some people just turn up for the giveaway and I want to reward loyalty, so I'm restricting this to subscribers who have been with us for at least 1 week. If you joined less than a week ago, stay with us as there'll be more giveaways that you'll qualify for. Also, as I am responsible for shipping these, I can't send them out of the UK purely for customs reasons. So please get your entries in as soon as possible and I'll draw the winners in just 2 weeks' time. If you don't get picked and you wish to buy one, for the best prices, check out Chilli Tech's Facebook page, as that's where regular offers are posted. I'm not paid anything for doing this by Chilli Tech. I just really want you to know that these cameras are available and to see the quality of them yourself. And it's also the fact that Paul doesn't have to pay me anything that means he can actually fund these giveaways. I'm sure you'll appreciate that a lot of work goes into making these reviews, so I'd appreciate a like if possible, and please share with others who you think may be interested. So I hope that was useful to you. Thanks for watching and good luck in the draw if you enter. Bye for now.